The neon lights illuminate the warm night of Pattaya with an almost hypnotic glow. The city pulses, alive, as if it never sleeps. Busy streets, muffled sounds of music coming from bars, the smell of street food mingling with exotic perfume, and the constant flow of curious tourists. For many, Pattaya is a vacation destination like any other: sun, beach, and a vibrant atmosphere. But for others, it is synonymous with a specific type of tourism that arouses curiosity, judgment, and above all, many questions. Among the numerous attractions of the city, there is one that stands out for its mystery and almost mythical aura: the so-called Soapy massage. The term circulates in forums, videos, and conversations among travelers, always surrounded by a mix of fascination and controversy. But what really happens inside? Is it just a different kind of massage? Or is there something more behind the luxurious doors of these establishments? In this video, we will dive deep into this little explored universe in an informative way. No sensationalism, no judgment, just an honest and respectful dive into a practice that, although it is not part of most Western cultures, is a daily reality in a significant part of Thailand. We will show how everything works, who the people involved are, what the law says about it, and how this type of service impacts not only the local economy, but also the way the country is viewed internationally, and more. We will understand the behind the scenes, hear stories, and reflect on how far tourism and culture can, or should, mix. So get ready. What comes next may change the way you see Pattaya forever. Pattaya, located on the eastern coast of Thailand, just over 140 kilometers from the capital Bangkok, is today one of the most well-known cities in Southeast Asia when it comes to tourism. However, what few know is that its fame did not arise by chance, nor overnight. The history of Pattaya is marked by a drastic transformation that took it from a quiet fishing village to one of the most controversial destinations on the planet. In the 1960s, during the Vietnam War, American soldiers began to frequent the area in search of rest and leisure during their leave. The military presence brought with it money, consumption, and a clear need: entertainment. It was from there that Pattaya began to reinvent itself. Small establishments began to emerge, offering drinks, music, and female companionship. What was initially informal and occasional soon expanded, giving rise to what would become one of the largest adult entertainment industries in Asia. Over the years, the flow of foreigners increased. Tourism became the main source of income for the city, and inevitably, the entertainment sector grew alongside it. Night establishments, massage houses, bars, and clubs multiplied, completely transforming the urban environment. Today, Walking Street is the main symbol of this phenomenon, a street filled with lights, sounds, and offers for all tastes, attracting tourists from around the world, many in search of experience that go beyond the conventional. But those who think that Pattaya is only about nightlife are mistaken. The city also boasts beautiful beaches, luxury resorts, Buddhist temples, traditional markets, and a variety of cultural activities. However, the strength and volume of the adult industry often overshadow these other layers of the city. It is almost impossible to mention Pattaya without the topic of sex tourism coming up. And within this universe, a specific term arouses more curiosity than any other: Soapy massage. This type of service has become so popular that it has turned into almost an alternative tourist attraction. And the reason goes beyond the obvious. The Soapy massage offers an experience that combines physical relaxation, sensual involvement, and a carefully planned structure to impress. Unlike a regular massage, it involves specific techniques, spaces designed for comfort, and often a luxurious aesthetic that enchants Western tourists. All of this, combined with the aura of secrecy and transgression that still surrounds this type of practice. Understanding why the Soapy massage has gained so much visibility is also to understand how Thai society deals with issues such as sexuality, tradition, and modernity. Thailand is a predominantly Buddhist country, where conservative values still carry significant weight. However, there is a paradoxical coexistence between this cultural conservatism and a practical tolerance towards the sex industry. It is not uncommon to see temples and massage houses sharing the same block, and this contradiction, far from being a problem, is often naturalized by locals. Another important factor is the economy. The adult entertainment industry generates billions of baht every year, and creates direct and indirect jobs for thousands of people. It is a complex mechanism that sustains itself through a constant demand, both from tourists and from workers who see this sector as a viable means of livelihood. Behind the lights and shop windows, there are social dynamics, personal stories, and market structures that make this universe much denser than it seems at first glance. And it is in this multifaceted scenario that the Soapy massage stands out as one of the most sought-after services, surrounded by myths, misunderstandings, and little discussed truths. To understand this phenomenon in depth, it is necessary to actually enter one of these establishments and observe how everything works, from reception to conclusion. That is exactly what we will do from now on. The first question that arises when someone hears the term Soapy massage is usually simple. What exactly is it? The curiosity is valid, especially since the name in itself sounds unusual. And indeed, it is. We are not talking about a common massage or something easily comparable to services known in the West. The Soapy massage is a practice that blends elements of the spa, eroticism, and adult entertainment into a specific package that was born and developed within a very unique logic of Thai culture. The process of a Soapy massage begins upon arrival at the location. The establishments are usually discreet on the outside but luxurious on the inside. Right at the entrance, the client is welcomed into a climate-controlled, elegant environment with leather sofas, soft lighting, and often ambient music. In a waiting room or glass-walled display area, several women sit or parade, usually wearing short dresses or swimwear. Each one has an identification number or name badge. This is the first step, choosing the massage therapist. The selection is made freely, without pressure, and the client can have a quick conversation with the staff before making a decision. In some places, there is a price list that varies according to the category of the massage therapist. Young newcomers, more experienced, of Western or Asian appearance, among other criteria. These classifications may seem strange, but they are part of a consolidated market system based on aesthetics, experience, and demand. After the choice, the client is led to a private suite. These rooms are generally well equipped. A large jacuzzi, ample mirrors, air conditioning, a bed or specific mattress for the massage, and a small sound system. The environment is prepared to provide comfort and privacy. The experience begins with a bath for two. The massage therapist gently washes the client's body using liquid soap and soft sponges. Then she lathers herself and begins to glide her body against the client. That is where the technique that gives the practice its name comes into play. The Soapy is not just a sensual massage, it involves the use of the massage therapist's body, completely soaped up, to perform rhythmic movements that involve direct physical contact, but with a very clear control of rhythm and intensity. The technique requires balance, body mastery, and sensitivity. The goal is not only sexual stimulation, but also relaxation and the creation of a temporary yet engaging atmosphere of intimacy. It is worth noting that not all Soapy massages include sexual intercourse. The basic package usually consists of the shared bathing experience, the Soapy body massage, and a manual finish. However, depending on the location, the agreement between the parties, and the negotiation made, other services may be added, as long as they are consensual. Each establishment has its own internal policy, and even in the most liberal places, there are clear rules and limits that must be respected. This aspect is important because many tourists arrive with unrealistic expectations or based on distorted information. The Soapy massage is not a brothel. It presents itself as a hybrid service with a strong sensual appeal, but structured within a premium massage format. The professionals involved are trained, know exactly how to conduct each step of the service, and maintain a demeanor that blends cordiality, professionalism, and a measured dose of seduction. There is also a silent ritual during the experience, few dialogues, frequent eye contact, and a slow, almost choreographed rhythm. Everything is designed to make the client feel comfortable, respected, and at the same time, stimulated. It is a combination of body technique and performance that transforms the moment into something that many describe as surprisingly intimate. Despite being a commercial interaction, the duration of the service usually varies between 1 and 2 hours, depending on the chosen package. At the end, the client can take another bath, rest for a few minutes, and then say goodbye. It is common for there to be a gesture of appreciation from the massage therapist, a smile, a traditional Thai bow, or even a small symbolic gift, like a folded towel or a handmade soap. This well-defined structure, combined with the luxurious environment and the appeal of the prohibited permitted, helps explain why the Soapy massage has gained such notoriety. It is an experience that sells itself as relaxation, but also offers a carefully scripted fantasy. More than that, it reflects the way Thailand deals with the body, pleasure, and service, directly, but wrapped in its own rituals and discrete social code. To understand this practice even more deeply, it is essential to look at the other side of the story. Who are the women who work in these establishments? Imagine stepping into one of these establishments for the first time. You have heard about it, researched online, perhaps watched some videos or read accounts in forums, but now you are there, in front of the smoked glass door of an elegant building, not exactly knowing what to expect. The atmosphere outside is calm, discreet, almost indifferent. No flashy signs, no clear indication of what happens inside. Just a lit reception area and a uniformed receptionist who greets you with a polite smile. Upon crossing the entrance, you encounter an impeccably clean lobby, decorated with sophistication. The lighting is soft, the furniture is comfortable, and the air conditioning alleviates the humid heat of the city. There is no rush, no fuss. The atmosphere is quiet, welcoming, and in a way, even relaxing. Soon, a staff member approaches and politely asks if it is your first time. He offers a menu of options, not with names of services, but with categories of massage therapists, duration times, and types of suites. You choose the time, and then you are led to a room with a large glass panel or illuminated stage where about 20 to 30 women are sitting. Some talk among themselves, while others look at you with shy smiles. They all wear sensual yet elegant clothing, and each one has a number attached to her dress. The moment of choice is silent but intense. You feel the weight of dozens of eyes on you and realize that here, the client is also being observed. It's a game of presentation and expectation. After pointing to the number of your choice, she stands up, walks over to you, and with a subtle bow, makes a gesture with her hands together. The traditional Thai Y. An employee then leads you to the reserved suite. The room resembles a mini spa in a 5-star hotel. There is a large hot tub, mirrors on the walls, a waterproof mattress on the floor, and a shelf with towels, soaps, lotions, and essences. The massage therapist invites you to undress naturally, without embarrassment. She does the same, carefully folding her clothes and starting the ritual with a bath. She washes your body gently, using soft sponges and slow movement. You feel that the experience is not only physical but also mental, a kind of forced deceleration. After the bath, she fills the tub and enters with you. In silence, she begins to lather her own body with a thick, fragrant gel. From this moment on, the contact changes in nature. She approaches and starts to glide over you with calculated, controlled movements, sometimes sensual, sometimes almost therapeutic. The sensation is difficult to describe. There is an element of pleasure, undoubtedly, but also a strange feeling of care. The massage therapist maintains eye contact at various moments, checks your reaction, adjusts her pressure, and changes the rhythm according to your state. She is in control but doesn't seem dominant. There is a non-verbal choreography being executed there, a silent dance that combines technique and theatricality. During the session, there is no forced conversation. If you try to make small talk, she will respond kindly, but the focus is on the present moment. The idea is not to build intimacy in the traditional sense, but to create a temporary connection based on trust and surrender. Many tourists report that the most striking aspect of the Soapy massage is not the sensuality, but the way they feel cared for and welcomed, even in a commercial context. The Soapy body massage lasts about 30 to 40 minutes. After that, she invites you to lie on the mattress, where the second part of the service takes place. There, with your body still slippery, she continues the movement, focusing on points of muscular tension while maintaining the sensual atmosphere. The session can end with a conventional massage, a moment of deep relaxation, or an erotic finish, depending on the package agreed upon earlier. Nothing is done without consent, and everything seems to follow a pre-established script, but with room for adaptation. When everything is finished, the massage therapist accompanies you to the tub for a second bath. She washes your body again, as if closing a cycle. Then she hands you a clean towel and lets you dress at your leisure. At the end, many offer tea or water, a small treat, and say goodbye with a sincere smile. There is no pressure for tips, although they are welcome. The final gesture is the same as the beginning, the why, now accompanied by a look that blends professionalism and humanity. For many, this experience goes beyond what they expected. It is a combination of physical pleasure, emotional relaxation, and cultural surprise. It's not just disguised sex, as many imagine from the outside. There is a performance, a technical and emotional delivery that requires preparation, bodily control, and sensitivity from the professional. Upon leaving the establishment, the feeling is one of having lived something that challenges the boundaries between service and intimacy. And this raises an important question. Who are these women offering such an engaging experience, and why did they choose this path? Behind the carefully scripted experience of a soapy massage, there is a real person, a woman with a name, history, motivations, and choices. Understanding who these professionals are is essential to truly comprehend what sustains this type of service. It is easy to fall into the temptation of seeing them merely as part of a package, but the reality is much more complex, human, and in many cases, surprising. Most women working in soapy massage parlors come from rural areas of Thailand, especially from the north and northeast of the country, such as the provinces of Isan and Chiang Rai. These are regions marked by a fragile economy, with few job opportunities and a high rate of migration to large urban centers. Many have left entire families behind in search of a better life, carrying not only their own dreams but also the expectations of parents, siblings, and in some cases, children. Not all arrive directly at massage parlors. Some start working in bars, others as hotel attendants, caregivers, or waitresses. Over time, they meet colleagues already in the industry who share the possibility of earning more money in less time. It is not a decision made lightly or without consideration. For many, it is a conscious choice, based on a comparison of exhausting work hours, low wages, and the promise of a more dignified life through a job that, although laden with stigma, offers financial independence. Of course, there are cases where entry into this universe occurs out of extreme necessity, external pressure, or lack of alternatives. But there are also many stories of women who have found in soapy massage a form of autonomy. They control their working hours, choose their clients, and define what services they are comfortable with. In some establishments, especially the more renowned ones, the professionals work as freelancers, even able to refuse clients without needing to justify themselves. The profile of these women is diverse. Some are young, under 25 years old, newcomers to the city. Others are over 35, have years of experience, and have developed a loyal clientele made up of tourists who return every year. Many speak basic English, enough to communicate during the service. Others are fluent in several languages, which ensures them prominence and better pay. Physical appearance is still a determining factor in the price charged, but over time, charisma, skill, and subtlety begin to count as much as aesthetics. Training, in many cases, is rigorous. It involves everything from body massage techniques to customer service principle, hygiene, discretion, and behavior rules. Some establishments have specific instructors to teach body sliding techniques with soap, which require not only physical control, but also stamina and body awareness. The idea is to offer a fluid experience without drops in rhythm or uncoordinated movement. For this reason, many professionals take months to fully master the technique. Besides the practical aspect, there is also the emotional side. Working in this field requires a certain psychological distance and, at the same time, empathy. They deal with clients of all types: shy, anxious, bored, lonely, demanding, kind, or rude. They learn to recognize signs of discomfort, adjust the tone of their service, and create an atmosphere of lightness even in challenging situations. Some report that the most frequent clients seek more than pleasure. They seek companionship, momentary affection, or just a space where they can relax without judgment. However, the stigma is real. Despite the normalization of the adult entertainment industry in cities like Pattaya, many of these women avoid revealing their profession to relatives or friends from outside. In their hometowns, they are viewed with suspicion or disapproval when discovered. This social judgment weighs heavily, especially in a culture that values discretion and family respect. For this reason, many maintain parallel lives. At home, they are just daughters or mothers who work at a spa in the city. In practice, they support entire families with the money they earn from massage. This is where a delicate discussion about empowerment and exploitation begins. Is it possible to consider this work a form of autonomy if the choice is made consciously and provides financial stability? Or is it always a consequence of structural inequalities? The answer, like almost everything in this universe, is not simple. And perhaps it lies precisely in the coexistence of these two realities, the power of choice amid a limited scenario. The fact is that these women are not passive victims, nor merely service providers. They navigate a terrain full of ambiguity, balancing necessity, strategy, and the desire for advancement. And this is reflected in the way they conduct each service, with a mix of professionalism, charm, and humanity. Understanding who they are is also understanding how the industry sustains itself. It is these stories, intertwined by diverse paths, that give body and soul to the universe of Soapy massage. But what about the law? Is all of this legal, tolerated, prohibited? It is time to delve into the question of legality and the gray areas surrounding this practice in Thailand. Talking about the legality of Soapy massage in Thailand is like trying to decipher a puzzle set in a fog. The first thing that is important to understand is that, officially, prostitution is illegal in the country. The Prevention and Suppression of Prostitution Act of 1996 prohibits the exchange of sexual favors for money, especially when it occurs in an organized manner, in brothels or specialized houses. On paper, the legislation is clear and strict. In practice, however, the reality is different. What happens in many cases, especially in cities like Pattaya, is the selective enforcement of the law. Soapy massage fits precisely into this ambiguous space. Establishments register as spas or massage parlors. What happens inside private rooms, under the justification of body massage with soap, is not explicitly described nor formally regulated. In other words, the facade of the service is within the legality, but the actual content of the service operates in a gray area. It is in this space that the Thai culture of tolerance and non-confrontation manifests itself. Instead of direct repression, the system often relies on informal agreements. Bribes regularly paid to local authorities, including police, are part of the operation of many of these establishments. It is a tacit agreement in which everyone knows what is happening but pretends not to see, so long as certain rules are respected and the business does not attract negative attention. Inspections usually occur only when there are international complaints, cases of human trafficking, or exploitation of minors. Aside from that, the sector continues to operate almost like a legalized parallel industry. This does not mean that all establishments follow ethical practices. There are places with poor working conditions, exploitation, and abusive situations, but there are also respectable establishments with clear internal policies and a focus on the safety of both employees and clients. This system, while functional in certain aspects, generates a series of consequences. It prevents, for example, Soapy massage workers from accessing formal labor rights. As their jobs are not officially recognized, they remain on the fringes of any kind of social protection, such as health plans, retirement, or leave. In cases of harassment, abuse, or health problems, many find themselves unsupported. Moreover, the lack of regulation opens the door for the exploitation of foreigners in irregular situations, which has been the target of investigations and criticism from NGOs and international organizations. Still, the Thai government has avoided structural changes. Attempts to legalize and regulate prostitution always run into political, moral, and religious resistance. Therefore, Soapy massage continues to exist in a legally unstable but socially tolerated ground. This contradiction is part of the Thai social fabric, where what is permitted is often not written down, and what is prohibited is not always fought against. Amidst all this, the local economy continues to revolve significantly around this practice. This leads us to the next point. What is the real impact of Soapy massage and adult entertainment on the economy of a city like Pattaya? The image that many have of Pattaya as an adult entertainment hub is not just a matter of cultural perception. It is also a direct reflection of the city's economic structure. Soapy massage, along with other activities related to sexual tourism, makes up a significant part of the machinery that drives local commerce. To understand the extent of this influence, it is necessary to look beyond the massage parlors and observe the production chain involved. The impact starts with the volume of tourists. Before the pandemic, Pattaya received about 10 million visitors per year, and a considerable portion of this audience was drawn by the city's reputation as a destination for freedom and pleasure. Although the exact number of tourists seeking adult services is difficult to measure, estimates from scholars and tourism-related institutions indicate that this is one of the main motivations that bring foreigners, especially European, Australian, and Asian men, to the region. The money that flows into these parlors does not only stay with the masseuses or the establishment owners. It circulates throughout the city. Taxi and motorcycle taxi drivers, hotel receptionists, bar owners, street vendors, seamstresses who make the outfits worn by the employees, restaurants that supply food to the parlors, laundries, maintenance technicians. For every client who pays for a Soapy massage, there is a whole chain of indirect services that benefits. Moreover, many of these tourists do not only use adult services, they consume accommodations, food, transportation, tours, and shopping. There are reports of visitors who arrive out of curiosity and end up extending their stays for weeks, injecting resources into various sectors. This long-term tourism is particularly common among older retired men, who see Pattaya as an affordable place where they can maintain a comfortable lifestyle, with a relatively low cost of living. The adult industry has also created formal and informal jobs for thousands of people. According to unofficial estimates, there are over 20,000 professionals directly linked to the adult entertainment sector in the metropolitan area of Pattaya, including dancers, attendants, security personnel, receptionists, and of course, masseuses. This does not include the informal workers who orbit this universe. Many of them see this work as a viable alternative, given the scarcity of well-paying jobs in other areas. Some argue that without this industry, the city would lose much of its tourist appeal and suffer an economic collapse. On the other hand, critics point to the risks of excessively relying on a business model based on pleasure and rapid consumption, which can be unstable and detrimental to Thailand's international image. Despite these controversies, the fact is that Soapy massage and everything surrounding it have solidified as pillars of tourism in Pattaya. Money speaks loudly, and in a city where a significant part of the population depends directly or indirectly on this market, social acceptance, even if silent, tends to prevail. But is this acceptance real or simply a pragmatic tolerance? How do Thais, especially those not directly involved in this sector, view this part of their city and country's identity? Thailand's coexistence with sexual tourism and, specifically, practices like Soapy massage is marked by a social paradox. On one hand, Thailand's international image as a destination for adult entertainment has been established for decades. On the other, internally, this topic is surrounded by silence, discomfort, and often moral judgment. This ambivalence is present in the daily life of the Thai population, which deals with the subject practically but rarely speaks openly about it. For many Thais, especially those living far from tourist centers like Pattaya, Bangkok, or Phuket, the world of massage parlors, bars, with erotic shows and commercial relationships with foreigners seems distant. It is seen as something that belongs to the big city, to the world of Farang, a term used to refer to foreigners. There is a diffuse perception that what happens in these areas is tolerated because it drives the economy, but does not represent true Thai culture. Still, there is a considerable portion of the population that depends directly on this sector, and for these people, moral judgment gives way to pragmatism. Many salon workers say, "It's the work that supports my family." Others affirm, "I prefer this to working a whole month in a factory earning a third of the value." This kind of perspective is common among workers who have migrated from poor regions and found in the entertainment sector a more dignified means of survival than the reality they faced in their hometowns. From a religious perspective, the issue is also complex. The majority of the Thai population follows Theravada Buddhism, which preaches values like compassion, detachment, and moral discipline. Sex outside of marriage, adultery, and prostitution are, in theory, viewed as behaviors that accumulate negative karma. However, in practice, many Buddhists view these deviations with tolerance. believing that repentance, good deeds, and accumulated merits can compensate for mistakes. Thus, there is a space for coexistence between spirituality and practical life, a silent balance between faith and reality. Thai society is also highly hierarchical. Issues involving public shame, family reputation, and personal image are handled with extreme caution. For this reason, many families prefer not to know or pretend not to know that their daughters work in such activities. There is a collective effort to maintain appearances, preserve community respect, and avoid direct confrontation. This creates an environment where judgment exists but is rarely expressed clearly. In more traditional areas, such as rural villages, the stigma is still strong. Women who work in massage parlors are seen as lost, even if they send money home every month to support their families. In large cities, however, where the constant flow of tourists has normalized this type of service, the view tends to be more pragmatic. It's just another form of work. This cultural duality helps explain why Soapy massage can flourish among a people who value morality and appearance so highly. But to what extent does what is said about this practice correspond to reality? The next stage of our journey will separate myth from what really happened. When Soapy massage is mentioned, especially outside Thailand, the images that come to mind are almost always extreme. Some view the practice as something exotic and seductive, part of an erotic fantasy fueled by movies, forums, and exaggerated accounts. Others, on the opposite end, see the industry as synonymous with human trafficking, sexual exploitation, and moral degradation. The truth, as with almost everything involving complex cultural contexts, lies somewhere in between. One of the biggest myths is that all women involved in this type of service are there against their will. While there are indeed cases of exploitation and women in vulnerable situations, most professionals in reputable Soapy massage parlors are there by their own choice. Even if that choice is limited by socioeconomic circumstances, they see this work as a way to achieve financial independence, help their families, and ensure better living conditions. Another common misconception is believing that these establishments are disguised versions of clandestine brothels, where everything is allowed and nothing is regulated. As we saw earlier, many parlors operate within a logic of informal legality, with well-organized structures, strict internal rules, and clear protocols for clients and employees. The environment is controlled and in many cases even safer than traditional nightclubs and bars. It is also false to think that all tourists who frequent these places are sexual predators or lonely men seeking domination. The reality is diverse. Among the clients are everyone from curious young people to couples seeking new experiences, and older men who have developed emotional bonds with masseuses and return every year to reconnect with them. It is important to break away from the notion that this type of service defines all Thai culture. Thailand is a country with a rich history, deep spirituality, and millennia-old traditions. The adult entertainment industry is just one part, visible, controversial, but not unique, of this landscape. Understanding this is essential to avoid simplistic judgments and to respect the complexity of a culture that, even in the face of contradictions, finds its own ways of balance. But for those still considering visiting Pattaya and exploring this universe up close, it is important to know how to act, what to avoid, and how to respect cultural and ethical boundaries. If you are considering visiting a Soapy massage establishment in Pattaya, whether out of curiosity or genuine interest in the experience, it is essential to understand that, despite the permissive environment, there are rules, codes, and limits that must be respected. This is not a lawless territory. On the contrary, the more professional the establishment, the clearer the expected standards of conduct will be. The first step is to choose wisely where to go. Avoid excessively cheap places, hidden in alleys or without clear signage. Reputable parlors typically invest in structure, transparency, and service. Research beforehand, read reviews from other clients, look at photos, and, if possible, talk to someone who has already been. Renowned establishments are not afraid to showcase their facilities and often maintain a website or social media page with basic information. Another important point is to understand what is, and what is not, included in the service. Upon entering, calmly ask about the options, prices, duration, and type of service. Do not force situations. Do not insist on extras if they are not included, and never assume that everything is permitted. Consent is a two-way street, and disrespect, besides being unethical, can lead to embarrassment or even expulsion from the establishment. Tips are welcome, but not mandatory. In higher-end venues, payment is made at the reception before the service, ensuring that the employee receives the agreed amount. At the end, if you feel well taken care of, you can offer an additional amount directly to the masseuse as a sign of appreciation. This is common and appreciated, but not a requirement. Avoid taking photographs, recording videos, or asking invasive questions about the professional's personal life. Many tourists make this mistake, forgetting that, no matter how theatrical the environment may seem, the person there is real, with dignity and boundaries. Discretion is a fundamental part of the process, and respect is what separates a good experience from an uncomfortable situation. Remember that you are in a country with different values. Western behavior doesn't always fit into the social codes of Thailand. Acting politely, listening more than speaking, and maintaining a humble demeanor makes all the difference. The experience can be striking, but what it ultimately means depends on how you choose to live it. And that leads us to a final reflection. As we reach the end of this journey, it is inevitable to ask, after all, what does an experience like a Soapy massage mean? Are we talking about a simple commercial service, a structured form of pleasure, or something that says more about who we are, about our searches and contradictions, than we are willing to admit? The reality is that, beyond easy judgment, the Soapy massage reveals deep layers of a society that has learned to live with paradox. On one hand, there is pride in a millennia-old culture, rooted in religious, hierarchical, and familial values. On the other hand, there is adaptation to a globalized economy that transforms the body, time, and affection into products, sometimes with dignity, sometimes with pain. The tourist who enters such a salon may be seeking pleasure, novelty, or even a story to tell. But often, they leave with a different perception, that they have experienced something more complex than they expected. Not infrequently, there is an element of unexpected intimacy, of genuine care, that challenges the idea that everything there is merely transaction. On the other hand, it is also necessary to recognize the limits of this experience. Not everything is beautiful, and not everything is fair. There is exploitation, there is an imbalance of power, there are inequalities that push people into choices they might prefer not to make. Ignoring this would be as naive as demonizing an entire practice based on ancient stigma. Morality in this context becomes relative. What is acceptable in one country may be unacceptable in another. What is liberating for some may be offensive to others. And perhaps it is precisely this diversity of perspectives that makes Thailand, and Pattaya in particular, such a challenging place for the Western gaze. In the end, more important than judgment is understanding. Understanding the whys, seeing the nuances, hearing the stories. The Soapy massage is indeed a service, but it is also a mirror, a reflection of human relationships, desire, loneliness, and the need for connection. And, like any mirror, what we see depends greatly on who is looking.